Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of Straight Up Show Podcast. I am your host, Calvin. I am riding solo today without my co-host, but I have guests today that are going to help me host this thing. We're going to have a good time. Hey, if you're listening right now, y'all haven't been hearing this much this season. Guess what happened? After 2 years, your boy finally caught the Rona. Oh, man. I had COVID. It kind of put production at a screeching halt. But I'm glad to say that I'm doing better. I sound better, man. I didn't even have my voice. Let me tell you, like, I know we've done plenty of shows about Corona and being safe. I thought I was being safe. All I did was pick a friend up from the airport, and I got the Rona just like that. So if you guys are out there, like Cardi B said, it's real. It's real. Man, I had it, and it is no joke. It is a beast. Luckily, I had my booster and my second shot, and I was able to combat it within maybe 4 or 5 days. Started off with me having like just body aches, and then I was sweating, and I was just, man, it was rough, man. But so, glory be to God, I'm safe now. I'm feeling better, and I got my voice back somewhat. So we're gonna rock this thing out today, riding solo today, but we're gonna have fun today. This is one of my first shows back, so. I'm glad to be back, man. I miss y'all. I miss talking to y'all. The love on social media has been phenomenal. So thank y'all so much for supporting me through my COVID crisis, but I am doing much better. And we're about to rock this thing today. We're going to kill it today because today, if you listen to our show, y'all kind of get a sprinkle of my personal life, but my likes and my hobbies. But man, let me tell you a story. My mom used to drop us off at my grandma's house, every day before school because my mom had to go to work early. And after school, we would go to my grandma's house she would feed us dinner and stuff like that. So my grandma on Mondays would make us watch a WWE wrestling. You may know The Rock, Stone Cold, and stuff like that. And to see my grandma get so animated about Stone Cold, open up a can of whoop ass, and The Rock, jabroni, and him, jabroni, candy ass, and all this stuff about just, this wrestling. See my grandma so happy to see this. Like, I had to go to my grandma's house every Monday, every Thursday to see wrestling because she loved it, and it was our time to bond. So recently, about the past couple, 2-3 years, I didn't know there was a group of us that loved wrestling so much. And then you get on TikTok, it's these kids in Africa doing interest dances of interest moves of the wrestlers here in the United States. So it's like, this has been a global phenomenon, not just me and my community, but globally. So I didn't know that wrestling fans were so much. And so the crazy part about it is you see people who you wouldn't think are wrestling fans. WrestleMania comes out, you see celebrities, football players, and all kind of people across the globe who love wrestling, and you would never think they love wrestling. So today's episode, I have some friends on the show. Man, they are part of our group. We are part of a group called Black Wrestling Geeks United, because sometimes some people bash people who love watching wrestling. You know what? There's no shame. And these two guys today have no shame that they love wrestling. So without further ado, help me welcome one of my good friends I know personally, Mr. Wild Man Scooby, a.k.a. Jeremy. Sir, how you doing today, sir?
What's up, man? How you doing? Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And one of our other friends that, we talk, we haven't officially met, but the love of wrestling has once again united us. Mr. Brian Gordon. Brian, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And hey, we're a part of a group called Black Wrestling Geeks United, man. And we talk about some of everything, right?
Yeah. Those conversations go hard.
Yes, sir. And before we get started, just let's start with Brian. Brian, tell us about yourself, where you from, and everything like that.
Well, my name is Brian. I was born in New York, but I was raised in Shreveport. Work for the city of Shreveport, but I'm also a bartender as well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much once again for coming on our show. And, yes, sir. And the next person, I don't think he needs an introduction because, if you know him, you see him, you know him. It is so much the Wild Man Scoob. Tell us about yourself, what you do, where you're from, and all that.
What's up? My name is Jeremy Houston, also known as the Wild Man Scoob. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. Born and raised here. I moved out for some time. I got a regular job like everybody else, but I do stand-up comedy as well. Huge wrestling fan, big fanatic, love wrestling, love pro wrestling.
Look, you know what? There is so much of wrestling fans. Like, let's take a round robin right quick. Jeremy, starting with you. Look, this flash us your shirt. Like, look at that. But that is a Wild Man Scoob. What is that, Jeremy? What is that?
Wild Man Scoob. It's inspired by NWO, which is one of probably the number one factions ever in entire pro wrestling. And they made it cool to be bad guys, man. And I've always liked the bad guy. So when I saw that, I had to. When I was old enough, when I wanted to start making merchandise, I was like, I gotta do something like this that involves almost all my merchandise is inspired by wrestling. From my Wild Man Scoob shirt to I got a Wild Man Scoob Bullet Club shirt. I have my Heartbreak shirt was inspired by Shawn Michaels, and I got a new shirt coming out too. I literally just thought of it probably 45 minutes before the show, but y'all gonna like that one too.
All right, yes, sir. And then Brian, you got a Road Warrior shirt? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. But this is also my girls' trail ride group as well.
Oh, okay, my bad. I was like, that's a Road Warrior shirt. Like, okay, but that is a faction. That is a group.
Yeah,
Road
Warriors. I remember them.
I was like,
Dog and Billy Gunn.
No, that was
man. That's Animal and Hawk, bro. Look at you, boy.
Man, you about
to
disqualify.
You about to disqualify yourself.
Oh, man. It's been a little minute, but I'm starting to get back into wrestling, man.
Oh yeah, but you know, whether you old or new, man, wrestling like unites us, and just to get all this stuff inside, you know, to unite it with us, and we're gonna have more with this wrestling group on the other side of the break. Make sure you stay tuned. This is a Straight Up Show podcast. In the 2 years that Straight Up has been a podcast, we've gone to where most podcasts have never gone before. From multiple celebrity guests to groundbreaking episodes, Straight Up is changing the podcast game. And now that season 6 is finally here, we plan to continue leveling up with our exclusive season 6 merchandise. That's right, grab your 80s retro inspired merch today. Just visit our website at straightupshowpodcast.com. That's STR8 upshowpodcast.com. Shirts as low as $19.99.
I think straight up means to be able to speak in a way that is straight up, to be honest, and to speak your truth.
Raw, uncut, you know what I mean? It's blunt, you know, straight to the point. This is what it is.
It's just a place to be open and honest, and that's what I appreciate most about it. And it provides a place for community members to come together and just be straight up with each other about things that are going on in the world, because it affects all of us.
Unfiltered, raw, with all the cursing that Calvin does.
Straight up is just being real, telling it like it is, you know, being you.
Being solid, being who you are, no matter what it is, no matter what situation you're faced with, right? This is who you are. It really speaks to me, saying it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. Straight up.
All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are joined by my friends, our personal group, Black Wrestling Geeks United. Once again, joined by my friend Scooby, Jeremy Houston, aka Scooby. I'm sorry, there we go once again. And new to me, but also not new to me, into the group, Brian Gordon. Thank you so much once again for coming on our show.
AKA Flash.
Flash, aka Flash. There we go. Everybody has. I want a cool nickname. I don't got no cool nickname. Like, I don't got no cool nickname. I want a cool nickname, man. Like,
we'll come up with your.
We'll come up with
one. Yeah,
we'll get a gimmick for you.
Yeah, everybody call me Big and my name Big Boo, Big C. I'm like, man, nah, I'm more than just Big, man. What's up? That was like, you know.
Yeah,
but,
I understand. I got you. We got you.
All right,
we're gonna come up with a poll in the group, and we're gonna be like, what's Calvin's nickname?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I need a cool nickname. And if y'all out there listening to us right now, or you watch us on TV, give me a cool nickname. What's my wrestling name? You know what I mean? So, and that's why we're here today, because we're talking about all things wrestling. And some people don't understand it. I feel like that, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong about this. I think that some people, when it comes to wrestling, they think it's kind of like, I guess nerdy or weird. Or have y'all ever felt that way at all growing up, or just even right now?
So as a child, I didn't feel like that because it was so popular as a kid. Like everybody was into it, it was everywhere. And then I got older, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of drifted away from wrestling when I kind of got older, and I started getting into girls a whole lot more. So the girls had my attention. So when I got older, I turned on Hulu for something, and I just needed something to keep playing. This was like 2013. And I was like, you know what? I hadn't watched wrestling in a while. And I just turned on wrestling, and like it was this Randy Orton match. And I was like, from that time, I've been hooked on wrestling ever since about 2013 again. And I used to, when people were like, what do you like to do? I'm like, I like to collect shoes and I like to watch wrestling. And I used to say it real deep or low so nobody could hear it, because they were like, I don't want nobody thinking I'm a loser or nothing like that. But then I quit caring because I really enjoy watching wrestling. Like, I like the storyline. I like the merchandise. It was all good for me. So I quit caring. And the more I quit caring about it, the more I started finding people that were more like me, especially black people. I mean, I knew, not saying that white people don't watch wrestling enough, but like it's a white male dominated sport. So, of course you're gonna attract more people that look like you. And I think that's one reason why it has been able to grow as much, because all the kids that grew up, me wishing there was somebody to look at, I didn't get to see Junkyard Dog, and I didn't get to see Rocky Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I had the Mark Henrys and The Rock. And for the longest, I didn't even know The Rock was black. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have Too Cold Scorpio. You know what I'm saying? Those people, I used to look at them, scream, what it was, that Screaming Norman.
Smiling Norman.
Smiling Norman. Yeah, I couldn't, those were the people I cling to, you know what I'm saying? And now that I see that more people are coming out, like Chris Bay, you know what I'm saying? Like Keith Lee, all these huge names that are like taking over, it makes me feel good. And I'm definitely more into it now. So yeah.
That's kind of, man, you dropped some knowledge right there, man, some history right there. And yeah, like you brought some old school back, Too Cold Scorpio and stuff like that. So Brian, did you ever feel like that, it was embarrassing, or you had to keep watching wrestling like low key, or did you ever feel like, it was something to be ashamed of, or no?
Well, to pick back off of school, when I was younger, I used to watch it and everything, but when I was younger, it was like in the 90s, early 2000s. So, that was around the time, Y2J and all them. And then, once I grew up, I drifted away a little bit. But then when I seen Bobby Lashley come out, I was like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, they let him win the championship and everything, but then I started going back, just to catch up on my history of, I started watching older shows, like when Kane and them came out, Undertaker. And so, I would spend a lot of my time watching it when I wasn't grounded. And so I had some friends, they'd be like, man, you still watch wrestling? I'd be like, yeah. They'd be like, oh man, you lame. So I left, that's what made me leave it. Because I was one of the kids, I was always wanted to try to fit in or something like that. And then so as I got a little older, drifted away, started getting interested with girls. But then, I actually met some girls that actually used to watch wrestling. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, girls started watching it and stuff. And so, we made friends like that as well. And so that's what made me get back into it.
Where these girls at? Wow, that's
girls that watch wrestling are awesome. Like I ain't gonna lie,
man.
That is
girls that watch wrestling are awesome, that understand what's going on, can talk to you about what's. I'm telling you, man, I promise you, those are the best. Them the ones you marry.
Why is it? Why is that girls that watch wrestling? Why is it so attractive?
Because I mean, they get it, and they're not like saying, "Oh, it's fake." We know wrestling is scripted. We know this now. Like it's just like a reality TV show. We know all of these things. Like just watch it and get it. Like just I can't explain because I mean, like they get it. They just get it. Like if you're into football and you don't have to tell your girl what's happening every time. Like okay, so they kicking the football. That means it's a field goal. Or like if you don't have to do that, and they just kind of get it. They understand that it's a storyline, and these are actors that are doing professional stunts that can honestly hurt themselves for our entertainment. You know, it's I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain. I like girls that's into what I'm into. So
Yeah.
Well put, man. That was really good. And speaking of the F word, and we all know what the F word is, you know,
yeah,
in wrestling.
we don't say the F word.
Why is the F word so, Brian? This goes to you. Why is the F word so bad in the world of wrestling? The F word.
Because the F word is so bad is because it, you know how it you might have little kids, you know,
and let's clarify. I'm sorry. What is the F word in the terms of wrestling?
Fake.
It's a dangerous word.
It's a dangerous word. It is. But the reason why I don't like to use it is because, you know, you still had kids like how we were. You know, we didn't know it was fake at the time when we were kids. And so you know, it just played into our imagination. Hey, we could do those moves, even though they tell us not to.
It's still real to me.
It's still real to me, yeah. And so, you know, you just don't want to ruin the kids' imagination, man. Just let them be kids. It's like basically telling your kid at an early age, "Oh, Santa Claus is not real." You don't tell your kid that. You let them have their imagination, man.
You let them learn on their own, because that's how it happened with me. Like golly, I saw WCW came out to Shreveport years ago, and I saw Booker T and Kevin Nash in a hotel, and I literally just saw Booker T and Kevin Nash fighting, like, and I'm like, this just does not make sense to me. And you know, at that moment, that's when I kind of realized, oh, okay. And I didn't even know Kevin Nash was Big Daddy Diesel. Like, I'm telling you, I was so into it. And then when I saw Scott Hall, I was like, man, he looks a whole lot like Razor Ramon. Golly. You know what I'm saying? It was like, those were the characters and those who they were. And after that, and that along with getting into girls, that's kind of what I'm like, oh man, so it's been a lie this whole time. So was the snake in Jake the Snake's bag even real? Like, I started questioning everything. So it's
you know, the kayfabe, yeah, and kayfabe, and you know, just kind of, you may hear a lot of wrestling terms that we use today that you're like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And like, that's what we're here to educate you on, and hopefully convert you to some wrestling fans. But I think with me growing up, what used to scare me was Kane. I thought Kane was with Kane, and he played their role so well. And as a kid, man,
that is probably one of the best storylines in WWE history. Like the Undertaker.
When you thought Kane they were brothers,
man, let's hear it. It took me a while to realize that they weren't brothers for real. I'm telling you, I probably was an adult.
I was scared. I was legit scared of Kane because he was tall. He can beat up everybody. The fire. And the mask, like, you thought it was real. It was like some Freddy Krueger stuff. Like, it was really scary. Like, in wrestling, I thought he was real. That's what drew me to him. And like, when Kane came out, I used to like legit cry when he would beat up Stone Cold or somebody. I'm like, man, he beating up one of my heroes. You know what I mean? And like, you know, like, somebody stop. And then to make it worse, you hear JR like, just stop it, what are you doing? You son of a, what are you doing? And like, so
oh no, right. JR was the best, dog. Like, and like, when I was watching, Kane was still wearing the mask, and when I came back, Kane was no longer wearing the mask, and I'm like, so ain't nothing wrong with his face? Like, this whole time. No, matter of fact, I remember when they took the mask off, and he had like the black stuff all over his face, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with this man's face, and there's hair attached to the mask. What is going on?
What's going
on? I don't understand. So, you know, it's.
I used to think Paul Bearer was their dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the story. That's how the story went.
I
He
think
was both of their dads.
I think that what made, because people say it's scripted, but when you watch wrestling, it's a team effort because it is the acting, it's the choreography of the stunts, it's the presentation. Then as a wrestling fan, you have passionate commentary like Jim Ross,
Yeah.
who is basically, they know what happened, they know what's happening. But it's like, to you, you're like, he's saying what you're thinking, like, man, get off of him, like, things like that.
Yeah,
So
that color commentary is amazing. Like
it
Jim
is
one of the best.
And so that, I'm sorry.
When I always liked it when Stone Cold came out, when he doing the commentary. Oh man, it's
Stone Cold.
I was just thinking that. I was just like Stone Cold. Yeah, I was literally thinking that. Like JR is one of the best. He is gonna go down as one of the GOAT announcers, like color commentary. Yeah, him and Corey Graves too, though, and Michael Cole. I love Corey.
I cannot stand Corey.
I know like the
but
King.
You like Pat
Jared
McAfee,
Lawler
Jared
was up
really
there too.
Good.
I love Pat because Pat. I'm a Colts fan, so I love Pat. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, okay, whatever. That's biased. Then that's biased.
That reminds me of a young JR.
He does though.
He does too much. I like him now. I like him more now. But when he first came, I was like, you do too much. He's like Corey Graves on steroids. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too much. The standing on the table and all that stuff.
But it gets the crowd involved though, like kind of how we were kids.
It does. It's too much for me. That's what I'm saying. It's too much for me.
And like talking about like it being so embarrassing, now you fast forward to all the things we liked as kids. You see it now in like all kind of media. Like you see it on TikTok to where people use the sound bites from Jim Ross on their videos and stuff like that, because
about regular stuff, not even like
regular stuff, like and so like you see like a World Star Hip Hop video, and then you get Jim Ross color commentary in the background. So like it's just so much that people, they low key like it, but they were ashamed to like it. But we grew up with it. So with that being said, and I start with Brian, like who is one of your favorite wrestlers growing up when you first started? Not right now, but when you first started.
When I first started, let's see, I was watching wrestling, I think I said, 99, 2000? But,
back when Cash Money was taking over?
Yeah, back when Cash Money was taking over. Very funny, school. But I'm not gonna lie, I love Stone Cold, man, because when he just when he come in the crowd, he break that glass. Oh, you already know it's gonna be a fight.
It's big pop.
Big pop. And then too, when they had that what was the invasion? When they had the invasion arc, when they was, going against WCW, and they had everybody invading them. And I think he just came back from an injury, so he drove up with his truck and just beat the people with a pool cue.
Yeah.
It was just, he came in, even though it was just, I was like, yeah.
And then us being from Louisiana, like, close to Texas, I guess, like we know several people in Louisiana that act just like Stone Cold.
Just like Stone Cold.
Yes.
We all got an Uncle Steve.
Yes.
Got a
beer.
We got Uncle Steve that had too many beers.
Oh, and then he'll sit there and like look at you like, what? Like look at you all crazy. Yeah. So School, like who is the wrestler that you like growing up? Like who is one of your favorite ones growing up and why?
All right. So I'm a little older, so I hate to say this now. Because of all the history. Hulk Hogan was the guy back then. He was the Michael Jordan of wrestling. He is one of the reasons why wrestling is what it is today. I will give him his credit. I do not like Hulk Hogan anymore. But even during that time, the Macho Man is is to this day one of my favorite wrestlers. Jake the Snake and Ric Flair. Those are my three old school guys. And then when I really just was deep into it, Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. He is one of the reasons he inspired one of my logos for my shirt. So I have to give it to four people: Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan. I have to cringe when I say that. Macho Man and Ric Flair.
Wow. So you went like more than one. Okay. Like
because I can't give it to everybody. All of them made it. All of them made it for me.
Yeah.
And so like I think I'm like the weirdest wrestling fan because like I don't like the big names. Like, you know, that's kind of weird. Like I like Stone Cold and The Rock, of course, one of my two favorite. I think two of the greatest of all time, I think, in my opinion, like Stone Cold and The Rock. But I like people like Edge and Rhino. Those are two of my favorite. Like,
see, I rocked with Rhino. I liked Edge when he first came out. Like when he became the rated R superstar, I wasn't into wrestling then, so I didn't get. That's when Edge like took off. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't there at that time. So, I mean, I like him now, but you know.
So you really wasn't watching him when he was part of the Brood, then, huh?
I was.
No, I started watching when he was in the Brood. That's gave me my introduction to him. It's kind of like when the Brood fell off and they kind of went into their own thing. I don't like, you know. Of course, I was there at the beginning of the feuds with the Hardys and stuff like that. But after he kind of went on that solo run, I was, like I said, I wasn't into it then. It wasn't because I just didn't want to. It was just, it wasn't my thing.
TLC matches and
he discovered girls in.
Yeah,
TLC. Like I think that's what transcended the wrestling was the TLC match, tag team wrestling. And I was one of those people that thought that Edge and Christian were brothers for real too. Like, they were best friends.
Because they were definitely friends outside of the business as well. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm talking about, just found that out 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 6-7. I was like, they not brothers for real? They both from Canada?
Yeah, lie to me.
And then like, you know, they Rhino and Edge, I played football. So when you see these two, you know, their finishing move is what?
Spear and the gore.
So like just to see that and the way Rhino did it, like with ECW, you had Joey Styles, and he would, like Jim Ross, when Rhino hit the gore, he would say what? Gore, 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 gore. And like, because it got you amped up that he just, you know, do it. Yeah. So that really made me love wrestling. But like, before we go to break, I want to talk about this right quick. And it's kind of like something that is now happening right now. And, you know, of course, our group is called Black Wrestling Geeks United. How important, Jeremy, is it to have Black representation in this kind of business in wrestling and things like that?
I feel it's extremely important. I mean, I think representation in everything is important. If you're not nitpicking at certain things, you know, like everybody can be a wrestler if they want to be a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? Everybody deserves to be represented in the wrestling. Like, I felt like when I started seeing more Black wrestlers, it made me want to watch more. Because I'm like, okay, it's somebody that I can rock with. Okay, like, because I'm gonna pick the Black guy. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna pick the Black guy, good or bad. I'm rocking with him. That's my guy. You know, even when Bobby Lashley was in the Hurt Business and they were the number one heel squad, I'm rocking with them. Not only because they were the number one heels, they also looked good. So it's representation is so important, because you might have that little kid that feels unrepresented, and they're like, oh well, this is not for me because I don't see anybody that looks like me. And when you see that one person, all it takes is one person. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how many little black girls want to wrestle and didn't see a Jacqueline, or they didn't see a Jazz, or a Sasha Banks, or an Athena, or a Kiara Morgan, you know, Hogan, excuse me. And they see those people, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. They can do it. I can do it. Sasha Banks is literally one of the biggest female Black stars in the game right now. So they know that they can accomplish the great things. You know what I'm saying? Bobby Lash is over like crazy. Keith Lee, Chris Bay. These guys are completely over. The Rock. Like, these guys are so over. And if you don't know what over means, it means they're accepted by the crowd and everybody loves them. Even when they're bad guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, it works out for them. So representation is very important. Very important.
And I want to follow up with that because, like, you know, what's crazy is that I got a niece and nephew. I'm kind of like Uncle Daddy, you know what I mean? You know, Uncle Daddy, like, you know, just like Bernie Mac, you know what I mean? I'm kind of like a Bernie Mac figure.
Yeah,
and I never pushed wrestling on my niece and nephew. Now, my nephew, he hates it. He hates wrestling.
What?
But to see my niece, like, and to sit in my bedroom, you know, I'm over here working and stuff, and you know, see my niece, you know, going. I look at my room and she watches SmackDown, and just to see her just like watching the Sasha Banks match, and watching when I literally cried tears when I saw Sasha Banks and Bianca at WrestleMania. And my niece sitting there watching that. Like, that was a moment in time that you would never ever get back because, like, you've never seen that, you know, because all you had back then was Jacqueline. You know, like you said, Jacqueline.
All you had was Jacqueline.
And, you know, but Jacqueline was just like, boop, you know, and but like just to see these women who carried themselves, they were their own women, and to see my niece just sit there and say, I don't want a Barbie doll, I want a Bianca Belair doll, I want a Sasha Banks doll. Like, and like the fact that she found wrestling herself, like, wow, this is bigger than just like, you know, us guys like wrestling. Like, this is like little girls too. So like representation is very big.
And it's not even just amongst race, you know. One thing I do love, and I know you're going to talk about this a little bit later, AEW, how they're accepting of almost everything. You know, they're in tune with the LGBT community. You know, you got people like Sonny Kiss. What's the girl's name?
Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose, right? You got those people, and on the WWE end, you had Sonya Deville, and you also had
Darren Young.
Well, you know, actually, they didn't accept Darren Young at first, though.
Initially, yeah, they did.
Initially, I'm glad they turned that around. Though.
But you already know why they did it, because you know they
publicity,
right? WWE is, and what I've learned about business altogether is WWE is not really for the adults; it's for children.
Right.
You understand? And I don't mean that like in a bad way. WWE is a business. They have stock. So if it's not making money, we know parents are gonna buy their kids what their kids want. That's the reason why John Cena is who he is.
Right.
Stand-up guy. He's always the good guy. Yada yada yada. The kids love him. Like, I can't stand the John Cena character, honestly. But if my son or my godson, who absolutely love John Cena, want John Cena shirts and wristbands and hats, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
So they already know
it's a character they can get into.
It's the character they can get into. It's a money game. It's a money game. If John Cena sells 55 kids shirts and only 10 adult shirts, they like, okay, well, we're gonna push him on the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I also think that's one reason why Roman Reigns appeals to more adults now than when he was the good Roman Reigns. Because now most kids, they don't care for Roman Reigns as much when he was the good guy in the Shield and he was doing everything right.
Because now it's like
I'm not acknowledging him.
It's like F them kids. Like, you know, but that's crazy. We're gonna have a little bit more about wrestling talk and why we're wrestling fans on the other side of the break. This is the Straight Up Show podcast. Stay tuned.
Tired of the same old boring clothes? Want to support your favorite podcast but don't know how? Well, you're in luck. The Straight Up Show podcast store is finally here. In our Teespring shop, you can find all the merch that tells the world you're keeping it straight up. From t-shirts to masks to even leggings, our store has you covered. Just visit straightupshowpodcast.com and click that merchandise button. That's STR the number 8 upshowpodcast.com.
The videos and images displayed all across the world cannot fully express what the people of Ukraine are going through. This senseless act of terrorism has cost many their lives and forced millions of Ukrainians out of their homes. Yet it's the Ukrainians' pride and resiliency that has inspired the entire world. So we here at Straight Up ask you to stand for freedom, stand for human rights, but most importantly, join us as we stand with Ukraine.
I'm Sultan Salahuddin from Southside 62 out right now. Make sure you tune in to the Straight Up Show podcast because that's where it's happening. You dig?
All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin, joined by Brian and Jeremy, Wildman, Scoob, Houston. Thank you all so much for coming on the show. We are part of a group called Black Wrestling Geeks United. We love wrestling, all things about it. Talk about it, whether it be New Japan, AEW, WCW, ECW, you name it, AEW. Like, we just love wrestling. So we talked about the love of wrestling and the story and watching it, but going to a wrestling event is 10 times better. And, funny story right quick. I live in Dallas right now. I haven't been back home in a minute, and I don't really talk to these gentlemen every single day. I mean, we do, but like not personally.
Right. We not
do.
checking on each other.
Yeah. And so I'm in the middle of Dallas, big crowd, first AEW live event in Dallas. And I'm over here just chilling with my cousin, Dash, shout out to Dash. And then lo and behold, look what I just see. Jeremy, but how weird was that just to see you in the middle of the crowd out of everybody? We just see you at a wrestling event.
Man, it like you said, it unites us. Like, I promise you. Like, because when I saw, I'm like, man, look at Calvin, man. I was like, hell yeah. I was so excited to see y'all. And what I will tell people about going to a live event, do not go alone. And if you want, if you need to go, if you have to go alone, okay. But take at least one person with you that's actually in the wrestling or that's open to it, because I promise you, it is 100 times better. Like, I had my friend at the time, Kendricks, and we had a blast. Like, the road we was on, the dude, there was like 2 other guys down there. They just started buying us beers because we were having a good time. And I mean, it's always, it's so good. It's so much fun. I got to see Sting wrestle, bro. Like, Sting, like, that was like crazy to me. And that was the night Pentagon Jr. came back. Yeah. And Pentagon is one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm in the front row. Like, this is when they started doing the other taping. And I'm in the front row and I'm like, Zito, Miato. Like, I'm going, like, I am no longer a 30-something-year-old man. I am like a 10-year-old child having a great time. Brian, I can't hear nothing you just said. You're on mute.
To the kid living his dream.
Man, I'm talking about the best time. Even when I went to WrestleMania in New Orleans, oh my goodness. I got to see The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Now, it was a squash match against John Cena. But whatever. I got to see The Undertaker. I got to see I was happy to see Cedric Alexander win his first championship. The Kurt Angle, Daniel Bryan wrestle, Kevin. Like, I got to see some of and I also got to see Cody versus Kenny around the corner the day before. Wow. Like, it was, man, listen here, live events are amazing. Like, I promise you, they are amazing.
Brian, what was one of your favorite? Have you been to a live event before? And if so, which one of your favorites?
I went to the live event here. That's been the only live event that I ever went to. I actually got to see, this was when around the time they were still doing the horsewomen. So they were the big, they had Bailey there. They had Ronda Rousey. I actually took a picture of Ronda Rousey. I actually got to see Seth Rollins wrestle as well. So it was real cool, man. It's just like Scooby said, man. I felt like a kid living my dream. I was like, man, I finally got to see a wrestling match. It was just fun.
Yeah.
Seeing how they break down the ring after every match or so, like they getting ready to set up for it. It was just beautiful, man. And it was just me and my cousin at the time when we went. We had a ball because we both grew up watching wrestling. Like me and him always like the game SmackDown, Here Comes Your Pain, or Shut Your Mouth. We always used to play as the Hardy Boys. And so
that was the best part, the gaming part of it. My nephew,
I'm stuck on WWE 2K22 right now.
Hey man, you gotta play me. You gotta play me. What's up?
I'm not that great, but I'll play. I'll play. I ain't that great, but I'll play.
As I told y'all before, my nephew, he does not like wrestling anymore. I mean, that was previously. So now I said, look, man, I begged him. I said, look, I know you don't like wrestling. I know you don't like to watch it. I promise you. But at least come to WrestleMania with me. At least come to WrestleMania because I'm telling you, it is not what you see on TV. Like, and so he was like, I begged him, I pleaded with him. We had some issues about it. So he said, you know what? I'm gonna go. So keep in mind, my niece, she loves wrestling. So she was excited to go. We went to this past year's WrestleMania in Dallas.
Tell me what. You had to beg me, y'all. You could have called me and said, "Scoop, I want you to come," and I would have been up on the way. I got an extra ticket, Scoop. Oh, I'm on the way. I'm coming.
I'm right there.
I'm right there. So we get to WrestleMania, and he sees a big crowd of people, he's in awe. Then all of a sudden, because we as wrestling fans, we know when pyro coming. You know what I mean? We know when the pyro coming. So I'm like, hey, watch yourself. But if you don't know, when you go to a wrestling event, that pyro is loud. It is like a bomb. And so he would just jump. And but come to find out, my niece is a hardcore wrestling fan. But at the end of WrestleMania, my nephew, biggest fan now, had the time of his life, talked about it for days, took pictures of everything in sight. And it just goes to show you that not even just their experience, it transforms somebody just that quickly.
Cal, it doesn't even have to be that big of an event, man. I took my homegirls, little boys, to Marshall with me for the League of Lions. In Marshall, they got this little League of Lions wrestling promotion out there, and the one we thought would be having a blast, he had a good time. But the one we was like, oh, he probably ain't gonna like this because he all whatever acting. He was the one that was going crazy. Like, he was the one that was animated. He was the one that was like, no, I'm talking about, how they mess with the kids in the crowd. And he was so ready. He was so into it. So the next week he was like, so we going to go watch wrestling again this week. And I'm like, it made me feel good because I've introduced these kids into something I love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And they naturally just grabbed it and they was like, oh, this is fun. We like doing this. And now they still call me to this day, like, hey, we going to wrestling. So when wrestling will be out here in July, I'm gonna have the two boys, my godson, and probably my niece. So I'm gonna have like 4 kids. I'm gonna need another chaperone just in case somebody want to come with me.
Hit me up. I got you. Hit me up.
Listen here.
Brian said he got you. Yeah, he got you.
I did.
Yeah, but it's so cool because I look at it like, especially with our Black community, it gives us something. Shout out to a Jeff out there in Shreveport, who's trying to do his thing in the wrestling promotion out there. And you worked with Jeff before too, Jeff Trotter. And so it's just to see that within the Black community, we're getting our kids who love wrestling off the streets, and they can look at something different besides gunplay and stuff like that, and especially with the times going on in America. So as we wrap things up right now, I want to know right quick, and you got to tell me why, Brian. Are you team AEW or team WWE?
Well, I mean, at first,
You better answer this right too.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I am team AEW.
Okay.
The reason why I like AEW is because their storylines are top notch right now. Because especially how the way they built up Hangman Page, going through all his trials for the championship, it was just that long term building. WWE now they'll push one story, the next thing you know,
they'll drop.
You won't see the push no more. I'm like,
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day, like literally Judgment Day.
I'll even take it back. The breaking up of the Hurt Business.
Oh yeah.
My God.
That was such like a strong faction. Why would you even break that up?
Okay, you saw I recreated.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I was like, come on, bro. That was a good faction that could have easily been just like how the Bloodline is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was so many ways to handle the Hurt Business. Like you even could have mimicked to
Evolution.
give Cedric Alexander a push.
Mm.
You could have mimicked Nation of Domination.
Mm.
How Cedric was trying so hard to fit in and be right. You could have made him almost like the next Rock. Now he wouldn't have been the next Rock, but it would have gave him that singles competitor push. So now we know he's good. Then you had Shelton Benjamin, who freaking trains Brock Lesnar. Like, you already know he's tough, and you got Bobby Lashley. Like, come on, man.
And you got MVP as the mouthpiece. Oh,
dog,
bro.
They literally had like Evolution. They literally had the Black Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
They literally had the Black. Now MVP wasn't no Ric Flair, but you know what I'm saying. It wasn't too many people you could really choose from in that category. You know what I'm saying?
And it worked because he came back on a part-time, like just a one-time like wrestling was a Royal Rumble spot, and now look at him now. So
who would have knew if I had $1 million and you said I bet you we'd still be hearing from MVP in 2022, I'd be broke.
Yep.
Right.
I'd be broke.
Scooby, are you team AEW or are you team WWE?
I'm gonna make it even more difficult. I'm gonna say I'm just team independent wrestling.
Okay.
I'm not anti WWE, but I am very pro wrestling and not sports entertainment. And the people that watch understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because
what's the difference?
Sports entertainers they wrestle, but it's we got to sell these tickets. We love wrestling and all this, but it's a whole lot of business. It's a whole lot of business. With the pro wrestling, everything ain't gonna be a gimmick. You know what I'm saying? Everything, sometimes it's gonna be real. The opening matches, and we've discussed this in the group, the opening matches with AEW, top notch. They are putting top tier stars in the front of the card.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To get that viewership in. That's business as well. But like CM Punk comes back and he wrestles 3 times a month. No one expected that. You don't have people like that doing that. That's that big of a name in WWE. Brock Lesnar comes 6 times a month. Then we get Bill Goldberg that puts on a horrible show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say I'm more independent because AEW they work with everything. They work with ROH. They work with New Japan. You know what I'm saying?
And they work with TNA.
Yeah.
With TNA, the matches are better. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, the matches on all time. I don't have to know who is who wrestling to see a good match there.
Mm-hmm.
With WWE, I have to know who's wrestling because because Big E wrestling, so I know this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen.
Or it's the same match you saw last week.
It's the same match I saw last week. Like when Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre was wrestling, I'm like, how many times are we gonna see this? How many times are we gonna see this? Versus
David Finlay,
Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson.
With
against Pencil or something.
And I saw David Finley, like Finley, you know, so you think about Finley, and it's exactly who we thought he was. But I'm like, but it's like, dang, this dude can go. And like, it was a no name, but they didn't squash the no name. You know what I mean? Like, the no name really held his own compared to like if it was a Cedric versus, you know, a Butch or somebody like or whatever, he would get squashed because like, oh, because we gotta put him over, which is like get him to win the crowd over.
This is also something that makes me mad about WWE. When you said Butch, the bruiserweight was literally a dominant figure in NXT, and then when you move him up to what they call the main roster, now he's a rabid person. Like now you can't control him. Like he can't talk.
I didn't like that either because they destroyed pretty much what Triple H built. Triple H built NXT to basically like a third show. And then they just cut it when, I guess, I don't know what happened between him and Vince McMahon, but he just cut him on down. And now you changing Walter into Gunther.
And Gunther or whatever, like.
You brought Tommaso Ciampa up there and he ain't even doing nothing.
Right.
Like you pretty much destroyed what like pretty much what he built those characters up.
You created competition within your own company, and that competition was
doing better.
I said was whipping your ass.
Yes,
like
on both shows.
When WWE Live used to come to Shreveport, I had stopped going because it wasn't really that good. But the when NXT came, I'm talking about them boys put on a clinic. Like when was that? That was 2020, right before the world shut down. Yeah. I'm talking, and that was the first time I ever saw Swerve wrestle. Isaiah.
Oh yeah, that boy up.
Man, that boy went him and Garcia, Humberto cousin.
Oh yeah, Angel Garcia.
Angel Garcia. Like with a person yelling out crazy stuff the whole time, they still put on an amazing match. Like amazing, like it was so good. And I'm like, I don't even get this from WWE. Yeah. I mean, now granted, I was sitting close this time. Because it does help where you sit at. If the closer you are, the better the show is. To me personally. But like NXT just has always put on better shows. Now I'm not watching NXT 2.0. I haven't seen anything too much. It's not no more. You can tell it's not Triple H show no more.
Yeah, I can't anymore. And I think we gotta really come back into this episode again because, man, I think there's so much more we can deep dive into. Because I mean, you all can tell how passionate we are about wrestling, and like I think there's a lot of people out there that because I posted one TikTok video and they got like 8,000 views because I posted it. So I think that there's a lot we should talk about, and there's a lot going on within the structure of the wrestling business, which we like to do, our hobby. But before we wrap this up, I asked y'all about favorite wrestlers growing up, but I want to hear about your favorite wrestlers currently right now. I'm gonna start with you, Scooby. Who is, and it can be with any promotion. Who is one of your favorite wrestlers in any promotion?
Okay, so if we're gonna say just limited to one,
I like how you put the emphasis on one.
Because you saw you kept man because I was
he was ready. You're ready, yeah.
I had the list ready. I'm gonna go with Chris Bay.
Okay.
Chris Bay. The only black member in the Bullet Club right now.
Okay, I like that. All right, and Brian, like who's one of your favorite wrestlers currently?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Randy Orton is my guy.
Okay, I take that. I think one of mine. I want to do two, but all right. But I want to say right now one of my favorites is, and because he's from Louisiana, and he carries himself very well. Absolute Ricky Starks.
I knew it.
Wow.
I wanted to pick him, but like he's a star.
When you say representation, we say that he represents our state well. Like he loves his state. His trunk's got the Fleur de Lis on it. Like just like, and he does it. The music is all about Louisiana. It's just I love it, man. Like, and he's charisma. Wow, charisma out the door.
Yeah, he got the juice. He definitely got the juice.
He got the juice. And like he got the juice.
Got the juice.
And he's one of those heels that doesn't just like run away. He gonna fight you. And
yeah,
then like
he gonna take his lick. He gonna take his lick. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the thing about him is that like, you know, it's just, you know, one of my other favorites, he's a black wrestler, is, you know, he's with Powerhouse Hobbs. So it's kind of like, it's just, man, it's just
it's like that Shaq and Kobe type.
Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
I like, that's a good analogy. I like that. Yeah. So that's our love for wrestling. I'm pretty sure next season we're gonna have more of this because this is like a part 1. So I want to thank y'all for coming on the show. Jeremy, Wild Scoob, you know, Houston and Brian, thank y'all so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us. No problem.
And before we go, do you want to go ahead and promote yourself, Scooby?
Oh yeah, man. You can find me on all social media at the Wild Man Scoob. I have my NW influenced Wild Man Scoob shirts. I also have my Heartbreak Kid influenced shirt, the Wild Man Scoob. Brian got one of these. The Wild Man Scoob everything. If you ever in town, man, holler at me. We can watch some wrestling, drink a beer, and talk about it. Let's do it.
And if you want to meet Flash at the bar, you know, you can always come to 318 Cigar Lounge on Pines Road. And also you can come to Laugh Out Loud Comedy Club at 618 Commerce Street. Come get a drink with Flash.
You only there on Mondays, though.
Only on Mondays.
Only on Mondays.
All right, there you have it. Flash, Scooby. Hey, thank y'all so much once again for coming on the show. That is a wrap up of our show. I want to invite you to join the conversation. If you like wrestling, tell us who your favorite wrestler is. Like, go on our website at straightupshowpodcast.com. That's STR number 8 upshowpodcast.com. See, look, I still got COVID. It's still in my system. I can't talk, you know, but we want you to join the conversation on our website. Tell us who you love and things like that. If you want to support our podcast, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/straightupshowpodcast318. That's Straight Up Show Podcast at Patreon. I can't talk today. Wow. Just patreon.com/straightupshowpodcast318. Until then, that's the end of our show. Join the conversation. Until then, there's only one rule to our show. You gotta be
straight up.
There you go.